Hey guys, what's up? It's Arly, and I am trying out a new project that I like to call Arly's Accolades, which is basically a top 5 list. Lots of people do them, and I figured that while it's not a norm for this channel to do them, it might help you guys to get to know me a little bit better and kind of see what my tastes are in terms of video game music and other different kinds of things that I look for and things that inspire me in terms of which games that I choose to play and which games are the most nostalgic to me overall. So I decided, hey, let's do a top 5 list. So again, disclaimer, this top 5 list is my opinions. It obviously is based off of the criteria that I feel is most important when it comes to video game music in terms of aesthetics and whatnot. Basically, for me, music has to feel like it belongs where it's placed. So this list is heavily influenced by if the music feels right, if the music has the right instrumentation, the right melody to make sure that wherever you are in the game, you feel like that's exactly where you're supposed to be. So there are a lot of retro style songs on this list, but I am trying to go through my entire library. I took a long time to go through all of my favorite songs that I can remember through my childhood and kind of refresh myself just to make sure that I was being fair in terms of not just being nostalgic. So it's a couple of old ones, a couple of new ones, and honestly a couple of ones that aren't that well known in my opinion. So, and as such, I went through so many, I have to give it up to some that were close but didn't make it, so I will do an honorable mentions. So let's take a look at all of the honorable mentions that didn't quite make it into my top 5. Alright, now that you've gotten a taste of what you think I like, or what what I've given you that I like, this is what my top 5 is, the ones that actually made the cut, the meat of this video. So I'm just going to get right into it. Number 5 for me was the boss battle from Banjo-Kazooie against Gruntilda. And I know that a lot of people actually do have this on their lists. It's acclaimed by many gamers across the board. Its instrumentation has a little bit of everything from the game. If you're not familiar with Banjo-Kazooie, it is a wonderful game back in the heyday of Rareware, when they still did games for Nintendo on the N64, like GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, and furthermore Donkey Kong 64. Lots of great games. And this song, while there were some memorable songs in the game, every world had its own flavor, but this song took a little bit from each world and turned it into a cacophony of sound that all kind of melded together while still keeping its individuality. Like you hear little bits from the different levels, like Rusty Bucket Bay and Mumbo's Mountain, but it's all part of the overworld theme, because that is the main theme that takes the lead in this song, is Gruntilda's theme from her whole lair. So the fact that they took Gruntilda's theme and they turned it into this up and down kind of crazy roller coaster of melody really makes it feel like it's deserving of a final boss song, especially considering Gruntilda really is the primary antagonist. There are some little quest bosses in the game, but Gruntilda is the only real true to form boss battle in the game. So after going through the entire game and finally making it to the top of the tower and to be met with this boss and this music, it just feels epic. And it's stuck with me ever since I first played the game. It's always been on really high on my video game list in terms of memorable music, in terms of fitting music, and it made it onto this list at number 5. So if you haven't seen Banjo-Kazooie, you don't know what it is, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So let's move on to number 4. So number 4 is kind of an oddball one in terms of popularity. Everyone knows what Castlevania is, for the most part. Simon Belmont, the vampire hunter, and the rest of his clan over the millennia and years go after Count Dracula and destroy his Legion of Evil over and over and over again, similar to Link coming back in different iterations to kill Ganondorf over and over again. It's a story heard time and time. Now, there are so many Castlevania games that kind of go under the radar. I know Symphony of the Night was a super popular one. I honestly did not feel for it the way most fans did. But in that same vein of kind of PlayStation 1 and Super Nintendo releases for Castlevania, Super Castlevania 4 is probably the most well-known next to Symphony of the Night. However, there's another one in America known as Castlevania Dracula X. Now, that game was released under a different name in Japan called Castlevania Rondo of Blood, and they both are the same game. However, one has slightly different music. The way that, I believe it was either the Famicom against the Super Nintendo or something like that, the music is slightly different, and the music in the Japanese version is just a tad bit better, and the melody flows. So this song is the song for Death. The Death. It is a ghost ship, and the name of the song is Portrait of a Ghost Ship, and it just feels like you're on some kind of decrepit, haunted, seafaring adventure. It just there's a lot of flutes in the song, and there's a lot of I'm not sure if it's a xylophone, but a very, very xylophone-ish sounding instrument, along with a lot of kind of not very prominent drum beats and scratches, and it makes it feel like you're on a haunted journey, and it makes you feel like you're on the sea. And it was a game that I got on the Wii U Virtual Console that I never knew existed before. I thought that Super Castlevania 4 was the only one on the Super Nintendo. And this one hit me by surprise. It was better in so many different ways, and it just, the music, some of it was, obviously reconstructed versions of prior Castlevania songs, which I always love. But this one was a completely new song, and there's actually quite a few of them in that game that are songs that haven't been heard in other games before, or that this was the first game they were heard in before that they were ported to another game. So Portrait of a Ghost Ship for me is a definitive number 4. It's not the top of the list, but it made me feel like I was on a ghost ship, and it gave the ambience and the atmosphere that I felt the level was deserving of. So that's my number 4. All right. Number 3.
It's not a game, I'm not a robot, and I challenge you. I'm not a phantom, I'm in your face, and I'm here to see you through. Right before your eyes, won't just multiply. Got the flavor right, it's time.
We're moving up to the present day, or at least very close to it, for my number 3. Now, this game blew me away in more ways than just with the music, because it is just amazing. If you're not a fan of the Persona series, you need to be. RPG elements, dating sim elements, dungeon crawling elements, they're all on point. It's just so perfect. It is so perfect. Basically, every ounce of this song screams boss. It screams anticipation, it screams anxiety, and it just makes everything around you feel epic. You go into these dungeons multiple times, but the one time you go in to actually face the boss, and this song starts playing, you know shit is about to get real. It is just... I don't know, I just could not stop listening to it. Once I heard it for the first time, I couldn't wait for the rest of the dungeons of the game, because I was like, this is just going to be epic as hell. And while the game has so many other credits and merits, this song in particular deserves its place as number 3 on my list. Number 2 takes a hit back to retro days. We're going back to the Super Nintendo again, this time with Donkey Kong Country. Any of you who know me, who know this channel, knows that I am a huge fan of Donkey Kong Country, and probably expected a song to be on this list from one of those games. And you would be correct, because I fucking love those games. The music always feels right, and the composer is just amazing. David Wise does a wonderful job composing the music for all of those games on the Super Nintendo, and he did an amazing job composing for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now, this song is not what everyone would think it is. And again, if you've seen my playthroughs, you know that I am not the hugest fan of Sticker Brush Symphony, which seems to be the fan favorite. I don't think it's a bad song, I don't think it's the best. My number 2 pick, Forest Interlude. And it's really hard to explain the mix of emotions it gives you, but once again, it feels right. It feels like you are meant to be in this place at this time, and if this music were playing around you in real life, you would feel at home. It moved me. It is one of my favorite songs, video game songs of all time. And it made number 2 on my list because of the emotions it stoked in me as I was playing through those levels. It's almost like the song helped me to get through the levels with a big smile on my face. Regardless of the trials that actually befell me through the levels, the song got me through. And hearing it made me want to go back and hear it over and over again. And they use it more than once, thank God, in that game. But again, if it's not a game you've played or if it's not a song you've seen before, then please look it up. I will leave links in the description below to all of the songs. So I implore you to hear them, and if you've never tried the games, please give them a try. They're all really, really great games. So my number one, for so many reasons that I will get to in a moment, is called Magilag, or Magilage. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it is a song from the original Witch and the 100 Night game that plays at the end of every chapter. And I also currently use it as an ending song for some of our videos when I play credits. So if you ever watch a video of mine to the end and see the end credits, that's the song that I use, because it's such a moving song and it feels right to be at the end credits. And for more reasons than just instrumentation and the fact that the song has a very emotional feel to it, it's never used in vain. Even though it plays at the end of every chapter in The Witch and the 100 Night, which is an amazing game and one of my favorites, which is why we're playing the second one on the channel, because I was so excited to see the second one release. But anyway, the first one was such an amazing game, and it had so many emotional twists and turns that I won't spoil here, but just know it tugs at your heartstrings at the end of almost every chapter, and that song playing is a perfect fit to how you feel at the end of every chapter. It just works. It makes you part of the story. You are invested in this story, and this song drives the nail in that makes you a part of the story. And I have never felt so emotionally attached to a video game story before than I have in The Witch and the 100 Night. And that song is a large part of the reason. And I just can't let go of that importance and that amount of emotional attachment and that amount of movement in my soul when I'm playing a video game, that I felt that's why it deserved the #1 position on my list. The music that sticks with me throughout the games that I play and the games that I will play in the future, the music that sticks with me is the music that I bear emotional attachment to, the music that truly makes me a part of the game. These are just my opinions. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know what your top 5 list is. Let me know why. What makes the music so important to you? And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Make sure to subscribe if you didn't, and hit the bell if you want to see more from me. This is a project that I'm doing to try and test the waters, and if reception is overall positive, I would love to do another one. So let me know if this is something you'd like to see more of, because I had fun doing it. I always love disclosing my opinions. So, and you got to learn a little bit more about me, and that's what this is all about, is creating more of a sense of community, that I'm just another person that you guys can learn about and follow on my journey. So, hope you all enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!